Hey listeners, this week on the Low Post podcast, we have Chris Herring from 538 talking Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks and the teams we're worried about around the NBA.
Welcome to our First Take fam for traveling. We appreciate you all. And it is officially prime time in daytime, one of the greatest of all time, Deion Sanders. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Hold it. I have to admit, while I'm here in Houston, as happy as I am to see y'all, I am not satisfied. Not only is the crew in the house, but we got prime time, the greatest cornerback in the history of football. Sit here. Give it up. Give it up. I don't want to hear. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be fun. We got some other great guys coming up. Dan Marino, might have heard of him. Brandon Marshall. Terry Crews will stop by. So we have a ton coming up.
And I got to work with Brandon Marshall. He's going to show up on the show, too. We got to talk about Brandon Marshall's hairdo. I'm just telling y'all right now. We got to talk about the hairdo.
Alone. You got other things to talk about besides his hair.
There we go.
Deion, we know Atlanta loves you.
And I love Atlanta.
Are you going to give him that much love that you're going to roll with the Falcons?
I'm not going to say that. Just because my name is up in the rafters, just because it's known as my house, just because all those things are true, that does not necessitate the fact that I may ride with Atlanta. If I ride with Atlanta, it's going to be because what they produce on the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do they produce? Tell us.
What they produce. First of all, you got probably the MVP of the league, a player that has ascended himself into the likes of a Tom Brady and an Aaron Rodgers. You got probably, arguably, the best receiver in the league in Julio Jones that you're going to have to deal with it with one or two persons. You got most likely the best pass rusher in the league coming off the edge as well in Victor Beasley. Should I continue?
Yeah, I got to interrupt. I heard probably. I heard likely, I heard possibly. I did not hear definitively. And what I'm wondering about when it comes to you, Primetime, is this. I hear all of these different things coming out of your mouth.
True.
At the same time, let me throw in another word. I sense a little trepidation on the part of the Atlanta Falcons.
First of all, I didn't bring my encyclopedia to define what trepidation is. But I like Atlanta in a plethora of ways. But yet and still, I've never picked against Tom Brady.
But Stephen A. is right. Like when you were playing, no one would say Deion Sanders, arguably the best corner in the game.
They did. They tried that.
But they lost that argument if they tried to argue against it. Right?
Yes.
So is Julio Jones the best receiver in the game?
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because there's a guy in Pittsburgh named Antonio Brown who is so special. Julio gives you so much, but Antonio is going to give you 16 games every year. And then he gives you fourth down just in case you need that as well. So when I'm talking about receivers, you talk about a guy who can line up anywhere. Julio can do that. You talk about a guy who can score from anywhere. Julio can also do that. But when you talk about a guy that's going to definitively give you 16 games without injury, that's Antonio Brown.
Primetime, when I look at this Atlanta Falcons team, here's where I'm a bit troubled. I see weapons everywhere. I see Matt Ryan. I see Julio Jones. Mohamed Sanu, big pickup from Cincinnati. Taylor Gabriel can ball.
Yes.
I'm looking at the combination out of the backfield in terms of Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Pass catchers out of the backfield, I think makes them lethal. Everybody's been talking about their offense, yet somehow, some way they were 11-5. I remember watching them get stomped in Philadelphia by the Eagles. I'm wondering about this team defensively. I just have a hard time literally grasping how potent this team is collectively.
You're so intelligent, my friend.
I do know that. I do know
That's why the probably was associated with my former statements, because of the defensive side of the ball. I love what they're doing offensively. I think really the game plan is going to be to keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hand, because your defense will be exposed, a la Dallas Cowboys, if you turn the ball over expeditiously. You can't just go down and score and give Tom Brady the ball. He's going to put up some points because they have that kind of propensity offensively to do that with the New England Patriots.
So nowadays, with these 5 receiver sets that the guys are running, and it's more important than ever to be able to beat your man as a receiver. And not guys like you, because there was only one you, but here and there you actually have cover corners.
It ain't no such thing as no cover corner.
Well, you were a cover corner.
I wasn't no cover corner. I was a corner. It's no such thing as a cover corner.
A
corner's job is to cover. That's just like saying a passing quarterback. That's his job to pass. A cover, there ain't no such thing as, and I hate that. The reason I hate that, because that distinguishes us as we don't want to contact or we don't want to tackle. Now, our job is to cover. That's what we do.
But nowadays it's harder than ever with these very athletic receivers and the fact that there are so many of them that are being, in these sets that they're running. Do the Falcons have it in the secondary, and Tom Brady can, everyone's talking about the Falcons offense. Tom Brady spreads it around and has a bunch of good receivers.
I know this is a wonderful game, maybe the largest game in our country, but the Falcons didn't just stumble up and get here. They got here for a reason, not just for a season. These guys can play the game. They proved that they can play the game week in and week out. Yes, we're going to alarm the offense because they're the most prolific offense in the NFL this year, but defensively, they've been balling as well. No, they're not a shutdown defense by any means.
They're not a shutdown defense, but let me get back to what you just said. They didn't just stumble to get here. Some would say, damn it, they might have tripped. Here's why. Seattle Seahawks. Problems with their running game. Problems with their offensive line.
That ain't our fault.
I'm getting there. Not only that, friction within the locker room. They didn't seem to be as together as they were in the past. In the case of the Green Bay Packers, an abundance of injuries. Aaron Rodgers devoid of the weapons he was accustomed to having. Even though Jordy Nelson was out there, he wasn't 100%. Devontae Adams got hurt. You're relying on dudes by the name of Geronimo Allison, for crying out loud. I didn't know the man's name until a month ago. So I guess what I'm saying to you is when you're in Atlanta, you ain't giving back the NFC championship game.
I'm exalted.
But
I'm insulted.
Why?
I'm heavily in. I'm
listening.
You insulted me, and you're playing with my intelligence right now because you want to dismiss the toil, the rigor, the work that the Atlanta Falcons put in to get where they are. First of all, I watch this show. I watch it every day. Matter of fact, if I don't catch it, I TiVo it. That's how much I got love for you. Now
and then you text me to complain
on every. You're swinging Aaron Rodgers' pom-poms. You're his cheerleaders. Now you...
They both are.
Yeah.
Because he's the best?
Now he's not the best. Yes. Now you're going to this Tom Brady is the best. Now you're going to dismiss the fact that Atlanta is who they are. Dallas Cowboys this, Dallas Cowboys that, and Aaron Rodgers beat the brakes off the Dallas Cowboys.
He didn't beat the brakes off
Aaron Rodgers.
I didn't break Dallas.
I know that one.
Right.
But I'm talking to your team.
Yeah.
This is a team.
I understand.
First
not when it comes to the Cowboys.
Not when it comes to the Cowboys. Then Aaron Rodgers does what he did against the Cowboys, and you talking about Atlanta Falcons dismantle that, and you're going to minimize that. You're talking about Seattle. I know Seattle has a myriad of problems, but that wasn't our fault when you come into my house like you were going to really do something with Russell.
You just used the word R?
Yeah.
I thought you said R.
I'm in the Raptors, baby. So I said ours. A lot of people associate themselves with teams, and they don't have that ability to hang in the Raptors. Every time I go to Atlanta, I can't even watch the game because I'm looking up at me. I got it.
And if you would have kept playing baseball, they'd have you with the Braves, too.
That was all right.
No, you were good.
Which matchup is most critical, the matchup within the matchup here that you're going to have your eye on?
Most critical is Julio Jones versus them. Because you can't deal with one person for Julio Jones, so you're going to have to attribute two persons for Julio Jones, but now that leaves you vulnerable in the running game. So you're going to have to double Julio. You're going to have to. So I got to run that way. And Julio, they're not going to sit Julio out there like they did Antonio Brown and just leave him out there idle and not motion him and put him in situations for him to be successful. Their offensive strategy and philosophy is way more advanced.
Well, guess what? You thought I insulted you. Now you insulting me because, excuse me, your jersey and is hanging in the rafters in Atlanta. Why? Because of what you did on defense. But you come on this show and all you've been talking about is Atlanta's offense. I'm sorry. Can we have a conversation about Atlanta's secondary? That young secondary going up against the great Tom Brady? Any explanation, sir?
Yeah, I love Tom Brady, and I love what he brings to the table. The reason I love Tom Brady and what he brings to the table is because it seems like Tom Brady goes to the park and say, give me him, and him. And, you know, I could win that game. You could take him. Yeah, you could take the Julios. You could take these guys. You could take those guys. Just give me Hogan. Yeah, give me Hogan. Come on over here, Hogan, and I'm going to make you a hero. You got to be 45 and over to understand Hogan heroes.
That's right.
That's how bad Tom Brady is. But on the defensive side, Atlanta's task is not that difficult. It's really not. You could bump and run these guys. You could deal with these guys. The main guy they got to concern themselves with is the guy who I love. The guy that I'm telling you is a bona fide star, and everybody overlooks him, maybe because of his ethnicity, and that's Julian Edelman.
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit later.
I hope so.
I hope so. You ain't leaving without talking about that subject. We will definitely touch on that. But I'm still shocked at what you're saying because I'm thinking about the greatness of Tom Brady, which you have obviously validated. I'm thinking about an Edelman, an Amendola, a Hogan, for example. I'm looking at all of these weapons. LeGarrette Blount coming out of the backfield has run well for them. I'm just saying to myself, considering Atlanta's young secondary, I thought you would sound considerably more worried about them than you are.
I'm not.
Despite their youth?
The reason I'm not, because they score at such an alarming rate. They get you off your game. Your game plan could be this, but when Atlanta starts to get that ball down the field and score and produce touchdowns, that throws your whole game plan out of whack. You cannot consistently do that. What you propose to do because of the capability of Atlanta scoring.
We've seen high-powered offense fail to show up in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, one of them was the New England Patriots the year that Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, and Randy Moss was catching about 23 or 24 of them. We've seen high-powered offenses.
You haven't seen a high-powered offense with a running game and a passing game that's very complementary of another. You haven't seen a high-powered offense with the quarterback that's probably the MVP, with a receiver that's arguably the...
Well, then why did they lose 5 games? They lost 5 games
because they lost 5 games. We don't worry about yesterday. We deal with today.
Now, speaking of the...
Hey, listeners, this week on the Low Post podcast, we have Chris Herring from 538 talking Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks and teams we're worried about around the NBA.
Now that's a bad man, Stephen A. Welcome back to Lucky Club here in downtown Houston. What a treat for our fans. We had prime time, and now look who is here. Introduction, 9-time Pro Bowler, 1984 NFL MVP. He's the one and only Hall of Famer, Dan Marino, here with us on behalf of Nutrisystem.
Yes. And the one thing I want to say is Monday is the biggest decision diet day for men in the country. It's not
New Year's?
Not New Year's. It's after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Everybody's drinking their beer, having their nachos. Yep. And Nutrisystem has a new plan called Lean 13.
Okay.
Lose up to 13 pounds in a month, and you guys are in good shape.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it, though. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
We're always working on it, please.
Thanks for letting me bring that up.
No, please. We so appreciate it. All right. So you also tweeted us using our hashtag FTSuperPick. We want you guys at home to do that as well. Hit us up on our First Take Twitter page. And, Dan, you went with the Falcons.
Yeah.
How come?
Well, just looking at it, I mean, I think that they have the ability to score with the Patriots and match the Patriots. And I think it's going to be a close game. Could be a high-scoring game. Just feel like this team is young, and they got a lot of big play players on offense. That with Julio and Sanu and the guys that they have, in a way Ryan's playing, he's probably going to be the MVP. That if it's going to be close, and they're going to win at the end with a big play. I mean, that's kind of, I could have studied it a little more, but that's how I feel.
Their injury, though, to the secondary, like Trufant, you lose a guy who you really need against the strength of the Patriots versus the Patriots not having Gronk, that goes up against the weakness of the Falcons in the secondary. Does that do anything for you in terms of tipping it toward?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Tom Brady can go out and light it up. I mean, that's why this is going to be a great game, I think, because both offenses could put up a lot of points, and it's really, to me, it comes down. Like every game, especially these games, big plays on defense, who can get a turnover, who can change the field. New England's going to try to run the ball, I think, and keep, be efficient on third down and keep, Matt Ryan off the field. I mean, the best way to protect your defense is to have their other offense stand on the sidelines. And that's just the way it is. And I think that's what they're going to try to do.
Before I say anything, I want to say that I've always considered you one of the greatest quarterbacks that I've ever seen. I've always considered you a champion. I've always resented the Dolphins for never giving you a defense ever in your career, as far as I'm concerned.
We had some good ones.
Yeah, I don't recall, Dan. I don't recall on the defensive side of the ball. But I will ask you this question.
Yep.
Having said all of that, knowing how familiar you are with high-powered offenses but questionable defenses, I am surprised that you're going with the Falcons. Are you not concerned with that relatively young defense going up against an experienced Tom Brady?
No, that's what I just said. I mean, Tom could go out there and light it up. That could happen. I think that's why the Atlanta Falcons are going to have to match him. If there's, Patriots go down and score, Falcons got to go down and score. You just got to stay tight that way, try to win it in the fourth quarter.
And sitting there going, if I had Freeman or Coleman, I'd have been okay. They got Freeman and Coleman in Atlanta.
They got a lot of big players there in Atlanta, so that's just my thoughts on it.
Ben, how much of a factor is experience? With this being Matt Ryan's first Super Bowl, Brady's, it's his 7th trip. How much does that play into?
That is a big factor, and that's why you could consider even taking the Patriots, because they've been there so many times. They know what it takes. Tom Brady knows how to prepare for a Super Bowl. He understands the outside influences, how to handle all that. Because he's done it before. He's won, he's lost. But that's the other thing. Matt Ryan, the Atlanta Falcons, never been there before. That's the one thing that you worry about.
And that first quarter is going to be imperative, how they come out.
Right, how they handle it.
If you were Tom Brady and you had gotten suspended for the first 4 games because of the Deflategate, and if you won, Roger Goodell would have to be up on that podium, handing that Lombardi trophy to y'all. How much of an extra level of motivation would that be for you?
I think it's motivation no matter what. Considering those circumstances, I think it's a little more, but knowing Tom and how competitive he is and the kind of player he is and the things he's done in his career, to him, he's not even thinking about that. All he's thinking about is winning that football game and winning another Super Bowl.
Now, for Matt Ryan, who's very talented, it's not a shot at Matt Ryan. Maybe he will get the MVP this year, but not Dan Marino talent. You, along with Aaron Rodgers, you're just talking about the 2 best I've ever seen, independent of coach and scheme and offensive line and running. It's you or Aaron Rodgers. And
thank you.
And it happened for you getting to the Super Bowl. I think most people from that era have the same feeling. Getting to the Super Bowl early in your career, there's no way to know that would be something that kind of hung on you, not winning a Super Bowl. But Matt Ryan's been around for a while and has heard that he can't win in the playoffs and everything. Do you think that is an advantage for him, serving as extra motivation, or is that more pressure in this game for him?
I think it's a little pressure because he's the first time being there. When I went, I was very young. I was 23 years old, still the youngest guy to start in a Super Bowl, and that's been a long time. And I felt like I was going to be back again, no problem. I'm going to win a couple, a couple more, and for him, he hasn't been there yet. He's getting a little older. Yeah, there's going to be some pressure on him. That's why the key, you mentioned coming out and playing good early.
Yeah.
For him, getting that confidence and playing good early, because you're going to have to match the Patriots. So there is pressure on him to win. Yeah.
We talk a lot about Belichick. I don't think we've talked enough about Quinn, defensive coordinator in Seattle. They beat Peyton Manning. They lose a Super Bowl to the Patriots with him as defensive coordinator. They should have won at Pete Carroll, giving Marshawn Lynch the damn ball at the half-yard line. Then this year, they beat Russell Wilson in the postseason and Aaron Rodgers in the postseason. Is Quinn equipped and ready to knock off Belichick? I'm talking coaching acumen, considering the greatness of a Bill Belichick. How much of a challenge do you think is Quinn going to be for him?
I think it is going to be a challenge because, once again, the Patriots have that experience. Belichick's coached in Super Bowls before. He gets it. He understands, what it takes and how to game plan, certain things to be ready to play in the fourth quarter. So there is pressure on Quinn about that. But, they're a young team. They're going to be out there. They're very talented. I do believe, the fact that he is young, a defensive guy, that he's going to have to slow down Brady a little bit, but I think they can do it.
And our home for the week is here at Lucky's Pub in downtown Houston. Everybody has been so wonderful here. We're so happy to have our fans with us, and thank you for making us feel so welcome.
And we have graffiti from Beach Street.
I love it. And of course, thank you so much for having primetime Deion Sanders with us. We had you last year. It was so much fun, and it's so great to have you back with us. But Stephen A., first hour in the books. I think we covered a lot of ground. What are you hot on as we approach hour number 2?
Listen, I'm hot about everything, but especially my man Brandon Marshall coming in. I know he's a big-time receiver, but when you got Primetime and Stephen A. on a set, holding it down the way that we do, you simply cannot walk around with the hairdo that Brandon Marshall walks around with. You've got to do better. I have to get on him and give him some tips. I really do. And then we can talk about his game.
Okay.
And we got Terry Crews on set.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
See, everyone talks about, you can talk about Friday or everybody hates Chris. Idiocracy, President Camacho.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going on right now in the world. It's very relevant, as a matter of fact. We got Terry Crews on set.
There we go.
You know what I want to talk about?
Right.
Deion played with the Cowboys for 5 years. He was on the last Dallas team to win a championship.
Yeah.
Is America's team missed in this year's Super Bowl prime?
Yeah.
Tell us why.
What America wanted was the Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Not the Patriots?
Not the Patriots.
Huh.
That's what America wanted. Now, this is the only problem I have with the Dallas Cowboys and its fans and the media personalities, even you two.
Me?
And you.
You better be careful.
When the Dallas Cowboys are losing, you guys so eloquently blame everything on Jerry Jones. The personnel, the meddling,
never that.
quarterback situation.
Never that.
No, don't try to be innocent.
But tell me this.
Number one hater.
When the Dallas Cowboys are winning, you quick to give the responsibility to everyone else. You don't give it to Jerry. Well, how does he get the blame when you're losing, but you don't credit him when they're winning?
Hold on, I got this. You have insulted me beyond comprehension. You supposed to be my boy as much as we talk, and you gonna sit up there and say that? Primetime, you know what I say all the time. You on that squad. The playmaker was on that squad. Emmett, Troy. I love y'all. I can't stand the fan base because the Dallas Cowboy fans are the most disgusting, nauseating, delusional fan base in history. That is what I say. I do not blame Jerry Jones. I blame the fan base because they could go 3-13, wake up the next day and sit there. We gonna win next year. You know that, right? And they've been saying it for 21 years.
But you know why?
21 years.
You know why
and you let them off the hook.
You know why they say that? Because Jerry Jones is a professional and constant marketer. He's the only owner.
You applaud
He's
that?
the only owner that makes and has his team and the fan base to believe.
He markets, but he doesn't win. He hasn't won. Listen, you didn't just have here. You had Jerry Curls the last time y'all won. I mean, come on. You had Jerry Curls.
A long time.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey. It looked wet, but it was dry.
Hey, look, Deion, you give credit where credit's due, and he's got to take blame. When he forced the salary cap through and then turned around and in the same day said, we just signed Deion Sanders, and all the owners said, how do you figure you just argued for the salary cap? Well, it's a bonus structure. It's spread out over these years. That was genius. He got credit for being a great owner. You go 20-plus years without a chip, then guess what? You get criticized. And you can't help but to notice the correlation between Stephen Jones starting to make more and more decisions about personnel.
How do you say Stephen Jones did that?
It was widely reported when they started drafting
y'all
offensive
just hurry up
linemen.
because I want to get into Edelman.
I'm not buying that. You give Jerry the blame, but you don't give him the credit.
Give him the credit when he deserved it.
He should deserve it right now. The team is on the up. The team is on the up.
Let's move on. You so eloquently stated earlier, this is first take, and you always have a strong take on everything. And you had a strong take on Julian Edelman not getting the proper credit that he deserves. Can you please elaborate for us?
Julian Edelman, over the last several years, has been probably the most productive receiver, arguably the most productive receiver, statistically the most productive receiver in the NFL. Julian Edelman comes to play. Julian Edelman runs routes. He plays inside the numbers, outside the numbers. Julian Edelman blocks. He does everything you want a receiver to do, yet and still he's not mentioned amongst the best. Yet and still he's not compensated amongst the best. Why is that? It is my intention to believe maybe because he's Caucasian.
You know what? Hold on, time out. You're not off base there, because I said the same thing at Christian McCaffrey in college, not just last year, but the year before.
That's right.
There's no question. There can be reverse discrimination just because some dude ain't a brother. You thinking he can't play when in fact he can play. The white brother can play. But in the case of Julian Edelman, one must ask the question: is it because he's Caucasian? Or is it because he has Tom Brady? Because if Tom Brady makes anybody look that great, then why are you going to give Edelman an elevated level of love?
I was hoping you said that, because now validates my case of Tom Brady being the best quarterback in the country, in the NFL, preferably ever. I just wanted you to go down that path, and you so productively went down that road. I want to thank you, Stephen A., for what you just contributed.
Well, you know what? Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I like to say that. I respect his point of view, but at the same time, even though I like Jordy Nelson, is Jordy Nelson better than Julian Edelman?
No, hold on. Time out. Back up.
Because you
can't have it both ways.
I'm only asking a question because if Jordy Nelson ain't better than Edelman, look how Jordy Nelson looked with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. Why are you trying to dismiss Aaron Rodgers while elevating Brady? Why don't you make up your mind?
That's a wonderful comeback, but no.
Yes.
You can't get off that train, Stephen A. I got you, baby.
Which is it, prime time? Which is it? Is it that Brady, you just said earlier in the show, he said, you come and play, and make them all good. Now you're saying Edelman's a baller. So which is it?
Edelman is a baller.
Okay.
Edelman is a flat-out baller.
Doesn't have to be one or the other.
Brady is a baller. I'm not going to say that. I will say they complement one another.
Right.
But they're not elevating each other's game because they're flat-out ballers. If you take Edelman out of New England, he still will ball.
Quick question.
Right. So it's not exactly like Brady just goes you, and you. He's got him. He's got Gronk. He had Randy Moss. He's got a lot of guys.
Quick question. Max and I have debated this on several occasions. When we talk about Tom Brady, how much credit do you give Belichick for the greatness we have witnessed from Tom Brady? Or is it the other way around for you, where Belichick is elevated in terms of his greatness because of Tom Brady?
I think they're both complementary. I can't say either, and I don't think we should be forced to say either, because Tom Brady is Tom Brady. What I mean by this, great players, you could take them off, like LeBron. You could take him off any situation, put him in that situation. He's going to elevate not only the team, the whole city. Tom Brady is that type of guy. Bill Belichick is that type of guy. But yet it's still, Bill Belichick has had Tom Brady and some wonderful coordinators as well. I've never seen Bill Belichick call one play offensively. I ever heard of him calling one play offensively. Defensively, yes, but not offensively. Tom Brady's an offensive guy, so you got to separate the two in some sort of fashion.
I want to get back to Edelman for a second, because I think there's a difference between the kind of soft bigotry of low expectations and reverse discrimination, or what people say reverse racism, which implies a power structure that limits opportunity based on race. That's not the NFL when it comes to white players. If there aren't a lot of white running backs or receivers at an elite level, that's on those players not getting it done. When they do get it done, they have to be whether or not they're recognized as elite, they succeed in those roles. And there's a difference between that and, let's say, what happened to black quarterbacks once upon a time, which was a power structure not allowing them the opportunity. Warren Moon convert to a receiver, you can't even play the position. That's not what's happening with Edelman. What I think you're talking about is people don't fully recognize how good he is. But he has the opportunity. He's still out there getting paid, winning Super Bowls, balling.
Yeah, but not paid at the rate that he would normally be compensated, yet and still. They don't give him the credit or the credibility that he deserves. Julian Edelman can put in work. One of the key matchups of this game is going to be Julian Edelman in the slot. It ain't no answer for Julian Edelman. It's no way to deal with him. The guy is a route specialist. It's no way to deal with him. So therefore, if he were of the other ethnicity, I think we would make more of a statement that, man, this guy is an Antonio Brown. This guy has the like of a Julio chains. Statistically, pull it up if you got time. Meander through your phone because all of you have one.
You got Edelman, you got Edelman there with Antonio Brown.
Statistically, Julian Edelman puts up numbers.
He don't put up Antonio Brown numbers.
He ain't putting up Antonio Brown numbers. But I got the numbers right here. I'm just telling you right now. The numbers are right here.
Are you saying he's Antonio White?
You're looking at Julian Edelman. He had 105 receptions in 2013.
Yeah.
He had 92 in 2014. He got hurt, had 61 in 9 games in 2015. He had 98 this year. Now, statistically, this year, the 98 is comparable to about the 101, 102 Antonio Brown had. But remember, the 2 previous years, Antonio Brown had 136. He had 128.
But we never hear that they're comparable.
Jason Sehorn was an excellent corner, and he was a white guy. He wasn't Deion Sanders. I mean, he just wasn't. It has nothing to do with his race.
That is not a good comparable right there, Max.
Right.
What? And I said this last week. You don't compare a moment to a monument. This is a monument you're looking at right here.
So is Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, the numbers are comparable when you look at it because we have Gronk to deal with and contend with as well. When you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers,
you don't have another pass catcher like that, like Gronk.
Is that guy.
Welcome back to Lucky's Pub here in downtown Houston. First day on the road for Super Bowl 51. The Diva has been in studio so much more lately. I will say, Brandon, he really has, and it's always good to have him face.
He got a lot of nerves calling me out.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the dude that cheerleaded for Jay Cutler. I mean, do you know how much love? You know how much love I got to have for Brandon Marshall to even sit next to you after support? Did you see the? Hold on. Forget all of that. Did you see the pictures of Jay Cutler hanging on the boat? He looked like Jabba the Hutt. I mean, are you kidding me? He looked like he looked all fat and slovenly. That's a quarterback in the NFL. Your dude.
And then when he got to the Jets, he was like, man, if only I was back in Chicago. Jay Cutler. Boy, you play with some bad quarterbacks.
Before we go, I was going to give everybody your stats, but the guys already introduced you. But I do want to mention, of course, 6-time Pro Bowler and friend of the show. Thank you so much for being here. You join us on behalf of AT&T's Audience Network and Audience Sports. Check them out on Twitter, @Audience Sports.
Yes, I'm the CEO. When you get to the plus side at 30 as an athlete, they try to kick you out the league. So AT&T's Audience Sports offered me a deal. They say, hey, you could be the CEO of our social media department. Yep. So my job this weekend for the rest of my tenure is to get everybody to follow us on @Audience Sports. Okay. And the second thing is just be awesome this week.
Yeah. I like it. CEO is the best title. The other thing I want to get into with you, so you just tweeted your FT Super Pick to our First Take Twitter page. Keep doing that. We want to hear from you guys as well. And you went...
But hold on, before we move forward, I want to handle something.
Okay.
Every time I see you, you always bring up quarterbacks. You have no credibility when it comes to quarterbacks.
None. Zero.
All right. So you know what? I don't think it's ever been done on this show. Someone say, you're right. You're right. And I'm retired from the quarterback department. I'm out of the personnel department. I'm out of the personnel department.
The first step is admitting.
First of all, I want to say something. I'm very touched right now. Okay? You know, because I'm right all the time. Some people just have a hard time admitting it more than others. But I will say this to you. I feel sorry for you, man, because I consider you, in all seriousness, first of all, you're clearly one of the best people anybody. I mean, y'all don't have any idea how good of a guy this dude is. But what really resonates with me is the fact that you are a big-time receiver.
Yeah.
You just can't find a quarterback to save your damn life. I mean, could you please pick a team with a quarterback?
Well, I'm on a team, and no, it's more about consistency and being able to keep it together. Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2015. Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2015 had one of the greatest seasons of any quarterback that year. So we weren't just able to do it the next year. So I had some great quarterback play.
Seasons of his career, not of any quarterback in the NFL.
No, I said that year.
By the way,
I said that year.
Don't flatter this man.
He deserved his
Hey, you retired.
Hold on.
Stop.
Right, you're right.
Don't flatter this man.
Thank you.
Stop.
Time out. I hope everyone knows.
That's right.
I'm looking
Put that
at
sign up.
Stop.
Put that sign up.
I hope everyone knows the real reason that he has that sign. It's got nothing to do with Stephen A. Smith or anything like that. You owe Antonio Brown a Porsche because you lost that bet. That's what happened. And you said,
the keys. Where's the keys?
And you thought he's got Ben Roethlisberger throwing him the ball, and I'm trying to talk up these quarterbacks like they're something. Now you're retired from personnel.
Yeah, here's the keys to the Porsche. Here's the keys.
I'm glad. Let me see. Let me make sure that's a Porsche. Let me make sure that's a Porsche. I don't know if that's a Porsche. Listen, Antonio Brown told me to remind you you owe him that Porsche. But here's the deal. You talked about just a few days ago, you tired of hearing about Belichick.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you say that? Explain that.
Simple, Matt Patricia. You know, it's about the team, and you guys know this, whether it's in sports and corporations, on television, you're sitting at a panel with a team of people. It's about the team, and Coach Belichick is great. You have a coach that has a vision, and then you have to have people underneath you that believe in that vision and carry it out every single day. So he gives his coaches creative control. And we're looking at one of the best defenses this year, one of the best defenses that we really haven't, like that the league has ever seen. And the numbers may not show that, but we're talking about in critical moments, in situational football. That's where it comes down to. It's third down, red zone, 2-minute offense, 2-minute defense, 4-minute offense, 4-minute defense. They are the best. This is the #1 scoring defense in the NFL, and that's what it's about. Do we have more points than you guys? And Matt Patricia constructs that defense every single week.
Well, what about delegation? What about the fact that, you know, you're at the top, you delegate responsibility to individuals who answer to you, and the fact that you've delegated properly to dudes that handle their business? Doesn't Bill Belichick deserve profound credit for that?
No, of course, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. But, you know, what we always hear is, what does everyone say? And we need to stop. I'm challenging everyone in sports, covering sports, to stop saying this. Well, every year, Bill Belichick, he takes off the #1 option. Everyone says that. It's time for new material. But that's my problem. It's always Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick. Why aren't we saying Matt Patricia?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because Bill Belichick is not just the coach who's had an unprecedented run in an era of parity, as you and everybody knows. He's also the GM.
Yeah.
So he's also the guy, and in a hard cap league, the job more than anything is properly priced commodities. Players, sorry, you know,
right,
but that's what it is. In the draft, in free agency, who you let go, who you sign. Belichick's doing all of that. Now, when I say doing all that, of course he has people underneath him. He's the general. He has the troops underneath him. But it's him at the top, coaching and GMing.
Correct.
Team,
correct.
Not giving anyone else.
So let me clarify what I'm trying to say. It's time for us to spread the wealth.
Yep.
It's time for us, and there's an argument that we have, and they have, because he has a coaching tree, got coaches all over the place. So
Nick
I'm just talking about the narrative in the media.
People love.
The narrative in the media needs to change. We need to start talking about Matt Patricia. Josh McDaniels gets his love, and he'll have a coaching job soon.
Real quick, because we don't have that much more time with you, and we do have a few more minutes, but I want to get into this. So we had Dion on. He picked the Falcons. Yeah. We had Dan Marino. He picked the Falcons. With your tweet, you picked the Patriots. Obviously, you talked about how highly touted this defense is and underrated. But why are you confident that they're going to get it done?
Well, it's simple. It's Bill Belichick. It's Tom Brady.
Better say Matt Patricia now. You can't give that.
Matt Patricia. And we're looking at the most disciplined, prepared team in all of sports.
But what about that Falcons offense? How high-powered they are?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, Matt Ryan has done something that no one else in the league has ever done before. He's thrown 13 touchdowns to 13 different receivers, and that's a testament of what Kyle Shanahan has been able to do with this offense. We've never seen an offense like this. We've never seen an offense like this. This is a traditional offense that no one can figure out. This isn't Chip Kelly's approach. This isn't the Wildcat. This isn't a quarterback that no one thought can run, and now you got to put 8 in the box and you're scrambling. This is a stretch zone to the right, stretch to the left, keeper, meaning a play action pass here and there, Julio Jones on the outside. This is a traditional approach that no one can figure out. That's why this is the greatest offense that we have ever seen.
We've had conversations about the best receivers in football.
Yeah.
Your name hasn't been mentioned in that category, primarily because you can't find a damn quarterback. We all know this. You don't want to say it. I'm going to say it. You're retired, so you're not allowed to rebut that argument. Don't get me started. Geno Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jay Cutler. Don't get me started. However, I will ask you this question. Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. When we've talked about them, we've said these are maybe the 3 best receivers in football. Where do you put yourself amongst the elite receivers in the sport of the NFL?
NFL stands for what have you done for me lately? Last year was a down year for several reasons. I'm not even in the top 30, but yeah, I mean, I had 700 and something yards. It's not, but this year I promise you I'll be in the top 5 at the end of the next year.
How can you make such a problem? Hold on. How can you make such? This is what drives me crazy about
I bet a Porsche.
I bet a Porsche. Where's the Porsche? Where's the keys? How can you make such a guarantee and you don't have a quarterback? You can't throw it to yourself. Why do you do that?
I'm out of the quarterback department. I'm retired.
He's retired.
I'm retired.
On that
I'm out of the quarterback department.
We want to see you with the big-time quarterback.
He keeps doing it to himself. He keeps setting himself up for misery.
Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Geico's been around for more than 75 years, back when they were using Morse code. Sorry, that's just my sense of humor. What's more, with Geico you get 24/7 access to licensed agents on the app, online, or over the phone, so you can talk to them at night or in the morning. So forevermore, just know that no other auto insurer has more than Geico. More power to you. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Welcome back to Lucky's in downtown Houston. First take on the road, as we just said, Super Bowl 51. And now it is time for my favorite part of the show. We're taking a trip to Mollywood, and here's why. It's all about the fans, and they get to put these two on the hot seat, and I love it. Can we bring up our first guest here? This is Malcolm Farrell from New Jersey. Suited and booted, looking clean. Malcolm, thank you so much for being with us. What you got?
My question for both of y'all is, as James Harden is leading the league in assists per game, do you think he's the best point guard in the league?
Well,
this is Houston.
My definition of a point guard is an orchestrator and somebody that can run the show. I think James Harden would be my league MVP right now if I voted for him. But if it were today, I would vote for him. But that doesn't mean you're the quintessential prototypical point guard, running the show, knowing what everybody is supposed to do and making sure that everybody gets involved. I am just somebody that's addicted to looking at Chris Paul as the prototypical quintessential point guard. James Harden is just a scoring machine who can do it all, even if it means playing the point. But in terms of being the traditional point guard, Chris Paul is that dude.
Whoever is the primary ball handler in a D'Antoni offense is going to look better than they actually are, and James Harden is excellent, but their stats will be inflated because D'Antoni has that style of offense and doesn't care about defense, and neither does Harden, so the pace is very fast and you can focus on the offensive end. The real idea of a point guard is who's the best orchestrator of an offense, right? The answer, as it is every year, I hate to say it's not going to be popular, it's really LeBron James. He makes the Cavs do what they do. Then there's Steph Curry, and there's also Westbrook, and I would say Harden is with Westbrook somewhere around tied for 3-4.
Whatever he is, Harden is the league MVP right now. Mike D'Antoni is the coach of the year. Mike D'Antoni. I never thought I would have to say that after the Knicks and the Lakers, but Mike D'Antoni right now is the coach of the year.
Jeremy Lin looked like a superstar. What do you think he's going to do with Harden? Of course.
Malcolm, great question. You're looking like a superstar. Stay fresh. We appreciate you. How about the ladies? Can we get Monica up here? Monica Fuentes from Houston, clearly. Thank you so much for being with us. What do you want to talk to these two about?
First of all, welcome to Houston.
Thank you. H-Town.
Yesterday, Terry Bradshaw said that Brock Osweiler is too slow. Do the Texans need to find a new quarterback?
Absolutely. Brock Osweiler needs to be put on the first plane, train, or bus out of town. He ain't that dude.
Monica approves this message.
He's not that dude. He's a guy. Listen, if you're throwing interceptions, you're making mistakes, there's a maturation process that takes place. We understand that. No one's flawless. But when you are a guy that literally is scared to throw the football and you're a quarterback, which Brock Osweiler has done on several occasions this year, I don't have any faith that you're that dude. He will improve. He may get better. But in H-Town, you need that dude. He ain't that dude. He's not.
Brock Osweiler, when he was in the Pac-12, was the fourth best quarterback in the Pac-12. There was Andrew Luck. Then there was Nick Foles, although at the time Barkley was considered better, but people were wrong. Then there was Matt Barkley, and then there was Brock Osweiler, fourth in the Pac-12. And as an NFL quarterback, he is not starter material, of course, the Texans. And if the Texans got a real starting quarterback, not even a franchise quarterback, just like a Kirk Cousins level quarterback, look out, because that defense is for real.
Monica's with it, but I have a feeling regardless of who's at quarterback, she will be repping those Texans. Up next, Zach Johnson from the Chi. You might be setting yourself up right now. You know this man in Chicago football. What do you have for him?
All right, first, being a huge fan of First Take, I want to say, obviously, being from Chicago, with us getting the brittle Tony Romo over to Chicago with our good running game, we got a Pro Bowl running back, Alshon Jeffrey. Would that be a better fit than getting rid of Jay Cutler?
Well, first of all, get somebody from high school would be better than Jay Cutler. That's number one. Number two, well, see, people don't realize, because I'm talking about interest. I'm not talking about your ability just to throw the football and run an offense. I'm talking about you having a passion where you actually care about winning, as opposed to losing and then chilling out on a boat with your wife, getting fat and happy, looking like Jabba the Hutt. Now, having said all of that, Romo is not the answer. Seriously, here's why. It's Chicago. It's cold, and he's already too brittle. I'm serious.
Oh, and the weather.
Doesn't work.
I don't think it has to do with the weather.
Yes, it does.
The problem with Tony Romo is, I guarantee you this, he will not stay healthy for a full season, so you can't game plan a season around him. When he is on the field, he will ball. And if the Bears would somehow figure out a way, like if he got hurt in week 3 and could get back by week 15, and then you could make the playoffs, but that's a lot of ifs. So I would not go for Romo. It's too risky, unless you want to use him as a backup quarterback.
You know what I'm tired of people? You know what, Sister, be quiet. You know what I'm tired of people lying about?
What?
Get hit in warm weather when your body's warm and all of that stuff. Now take off and go to some place where it's freezing. Take off your gloves and stuff like that. Same hit and watch how they hit you. Why are we acting like we don't know that the cold weather affects us?
No,
it affects you.
No.
It's British.
It's not the cold weather don't make it worse. It's that he could be playing in warm weather. He's been playing in warm weather.
Exactly. So cold weather's don't make it worse.
Hurt anyway.
On the bright side, Zach, you got this. This just happened right here with your town.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate you being with us. Welcome back to Lucky's Pub here in downtown Houston. First Take on the road. Thank you to the lovely Houston cheerleaders for being here with us, dressing up our set for Super Bowl 51. And look who is here. Oh, no. There he goes. With a beat. The man's put work in the gym. Our next guest looks like he could play in the NFL. Oh, because he did.
That's
and now
nice.
He makes a living being a funny man here, presented by Old Spice. Terry Crews in the house. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, man, my pleasure. Good to be here. What's up, y'all? Oh, I love this energy. That Houston energy.
You know, I could easily ask the question about how much you miss football, but considering the fact that you in Hollywood, I mean, if it ain't a movie, it's a television show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, how to become a millionaire. I mean, Lord have mercy.
Everybody hates Chris.
Everybody hates Chris. When you look at your career and how it has evolved right now, do you miss football?
I don't miss football at all. I'm not going to lie to you. You got to understand, a lot of these players, it's funny because they come to me and they really would love to be in my spot because, like I said this before when I was here last time, is that, a lot of times the NFL doesn't let you take your helmet off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the whole thing is about self-promotion. You want to, you want to be able to make that transition. When football is over, you want to have something else. Because listen, it's all has a limited shelf life. It's only going to, whatever sport you're playing, it's going to end. And the good thing is I can act forever. You know what I mean? My best years, but I may have my best performance when I'm 70, like Morgan Freeman. You know what I'm saying? So I can keep going.
It's going to be tough to beat President Camacho.
It's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough.
But we live in it right now, so
we
don't worry about it.
We do. Did you ever think that movie was really in anticipation of what was going to come?
Listen, you know what? The movie was originally called 3001. And they said, wait a minute, we can't call it that because it's happening too soon. You know what I mean? They changed it because of idiocracy. And to see what's happening, a lot of things in that movie comes to play. But, it shows that, art imitates life and vice versa. So, I'm happy to be a part of that.
Speaking of things ending, unlike your career,
yes,
somebody's Super Bowl dreams will be ending. We want everybody at home to weigh in. Hashtag #FTSuperPick. Make your voice heard. Hit us up on our First Take Twitter page. Terry,
yes,
you know a little something about football.
Yes.
Who are you rolling with?
I'm going with the New England Falcons.
Oh, don't do me like that.
Oh, no, with the Atlanta Patriots all the way. No, y'all won't know. Y'all won't know. I got too many fans.
See, why we got to be scared to make a pick? You know
How are you going to play us like that?
You in the Expendables shooting up people.
I'm not scared.
You in Friday sitting there flexing your muscle.
You can't even make a pick.
You always intimidate, but now you're scared. I am.
Now, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you two things. My heart wants Atlanta to win.
Yeah, what's your head say?
But my head says the Patriots.
He's going with the Patriots.
Now, wait, but my heart is right. My heart has been right before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because let me say, I was at the Ram game
Money
when
on
those
the
Atlanta
line.
Falcons absolutely destroyed the Rams. At the beginning of the third quarter, they were up by 40. And I said, man, these dudes are for real. But I also
Terry,
know the
money
Patriots.
on the line. Where are you going? Money on the line right now.
Yeah, you're money.
Where are you going right now?
I gotta go with my heart. I'm going with Atlanta.
Okay, I was wrong.
You made me.
If Atlanta is going to win this game, how are they going to do it?
It's literally, they have to keep New England off the field. They have to keep the offense off the field. They got to control this game. The running game has got to be, as long as the ball is in Atlanta's possession, they have a chance. But, man, if you let Tom Brady out there, brother, and they start manipulating, start doing their thing, it's over.
Even then, Terry, New England's got the #1 scoring defense. Sometimes your offense is on the field, and the Patriots are still scoring.
But that Atlanta offense is a beast right now. They're just, right now, they're in the vibe. And, sometimes the energy and the flow, it's the time. It could be the
hottest team wins. The best team don't always win. The hottest.
It's very true. Yeah. It's very true.
That's one of the reasons I'm suspect on Atlanta. It's because of fans like you. This is the issue, right? So there's always those teams. Everybody ride destiny. T.I. gonna show his face again. There's a few people. Ron Tom was already here. Ludacris gonna show up in the house. All these dudes gonna come out, and I got nothing but love for these brothers. They all looking for me, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the deal. They all riding that wave, but over the years, when it came to the Falcons, where were they? We were looking for them. There was an APB out there. We couldn't find them nowhere. That's what I'm saying about y'all.
But again, it's not like Atlanta hasn't been there before.
Oh, really? You count that Super Bowl appearance?
I count that Super Bowl appearance.
When they got annihilated?
Remember, there are people who remember. Their daddies remember.
When you had dudes getting arrested before the game, you talk about you count that way?
Oh.
That's right, I brought it up. I didn't say the name. I didn't say the name, but it's true.
Wait. New England had some people get arrested.
I understand. But not the night before the Super Bowl. Not the night before the Super Bowl.
The nature of the whole
Let's not get personal, John.
I'm not getting personal.
already made that mistake.
I'm simply saying.
By the way, it's not just the football team. Atlanta won championship across all the sports. The Hawks, the Braves.
They need it,
It
man.
mean a lot for the
Falcons.
I tell you, man, it's going to be
Boston,
right now the heart. And so, again, my heart says Atlanta. But, again, my mind, the Patriots are just an amazing team, and they got everybody's playbook.
All I'm saying is, you said that. You said that. How much of a motivation? How much of a motivation do you think is going to be for Tom Brady to win this particular Super Bowl, considering all he's going through this?
Oh man, this is it. After Deflategate, after everybody's doubted him and the whole thing, but he really has nothing to prove. And he also has nothing to lose here. You know what I'm saying? So you talking about he's a very, very dangerous man right now. They've got to stop Brady. You got to find a way, and it's going to be crazy.
And I'm going to bring this up, Max. See, nobody else is going to bring this. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there, Max.
Brady.
You know, it is the ATL. There are distractions in the ATL. I mean, they got here, they're here now. But damn it, you never know because folks migrate. Distractions migrate. And I guess what I'm saying is this. They are a relatively young crew.
Right.
I mean, you just never know. You just never know. Dudes their focus might be compromised. You ever concern yourself with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why they should never have a team in Vegas. You should never have a team.
You're against the Raiders moving to Vegas?
Look at all the distractions in Vegas, man. That team is going to be stumbling.
By the way, Vegas might not want them now. You see that? Like, we don't even know.
I'm just saying, let's not poo-poo Vegas. I mean, I know there's nothing
I'm talking about
Vegas.
You enjoy a nice show in Vegas.
Absolutely.
Shopping a little.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A little blackjack lose about $5. That's all. That's all. Not bad. Not bad.
I do want to see her show, though.
Here we go. So, what I'm saying to you is this. As we look at New England, I'm thinking about New England against that young secondary in Atlanta. And nobody brings up the youth in that secondary. Yeah. That's my concern.
But again, man, you talking about this is where the heroes are made. I remember, even in regards to basketball, I remember how the Pistons used to beat up on Michael Jordan and the Bulls forever. And then all of a sudden, one day, he was like, I had enough. And, you know, Atlanta's big.
Well, it helped that Scottie Pippen didn't have a migraine anymore.
Very true.
I mean, that did help. That did help.
As soon as they gave Mike Pippen, it was a wrap, basically.
It was a wrap. I'm telling you,
it took a few years.
That Atlanta is now in the position, even though they have young guys, you know, they can focus. If you can just focus for these 2 weeks right now, you know it's all on the line. Dude, anything can happen.
Welcome back to Lucky's Pub in downtown. First take on the road. It is our final segment. Stephen A.
First of all, I don't know if I personally don't know if T.I. is going to be allowed on this show. I really don't. He talked a lot of smack last week. I don't know if I want T.I. back. I think, as a matter of fact, let him come. He might be scared to show up. He might be.
And before we move on, I want to give a thank you to Deion Sanders, who was unbelievable being with us.
I'm just playing, y'all. T.I.'s my boy.
We know.
Relax.
All right, let's get into it, guys. Rob Gronkowski's season came to an end at the beginning of December when he was placed on IR and had his third surgery for a herniated disc. Stephen A., should the Patriots move on from Gronk after this game?
I think this is something they should strongly consider. They are here without him. Yet again, because of his health. Now, they don't win Super Bowls without Gronkowski usually. But here's the reality. There's a fragility factor. He's relatively fragile. If you can get prime value for him, you do it. If you can't, you don't let him go for nothing. But he's not reliable only because of his health.
Yeah, this is the thing about Belichick. This is what I said earlier. In a hard cap league, the GM, their job, number one, is allocate your resources properly, price commodities, meaning players, exactly right in the draft, with free agency, etc. And Gronk is ridiculously great at his position, but his health is an open question. If they win the Super Bowl without him, I think that shows you that if you can get something good, you move him.
If that's the case, which team should target him?
It's hard to say. First of all, the Jets, it would be nice if they had a tight end, but we don't wish that upon anybody to go from New England to the New York Jets. I mean, Lord, talk about cruelty. I'd love.
It's happened before.
I'd love to see the Steelers get him. You know, you look. He could go anywhere. But here's the deal: the objective is to find the sucker that's willing to take him. There's a sucker born every minute in a front office of a professional sports team. Somebody is desperate enough to give the house to get something.
A healthy Gronk.
Find those dudes.
Stephen A's right. A healthy Gronk makes every single team better as long as he's healthy. But the fact that he's not, it does have to be a sucker to give up a lot.
Plain and simple.
The other thing that I wanted to focus in on, though, is not having Gronk. How much of an advantage is this for Atlanta? Because I remember us saying if they didn't have Gronk, there's no chance they're getting the Super Bowl. They got to the Super Bowl without him.
You thought it was a huge advantage, and then Chris Hogan shows up, and he catches 9 receptions for 180 yards, which is the same as Julio Jones. With Bill Belichick, as Max keeps saying, you never know who's going to step up as next man up. It's your day. Not to mention the fact that Belichick is the type of dude that would use Gronk as a decoy so somebody else Bucks could
It's not as big a deal as you think. Follow this logic for a second. A little counterintuitive. Because you're playing into an Atlanta weakness, you don't need as much of a strength there. So actually losing Gronk, because they're already weak there and Bennett can exploit that, is not as big a deal as it would have first seemed.
For the next 3 days, we want you to make your voice heard. Go to our First Take Twitter page. Use the hashtag FTSuperPick, Patriots or Falcons. Who are you rolling with? We're going to keep updating those results over the next 3 days, and we'll share them at the end.
Did y'all remember? Did y'all realize that my brother's coming on the show?
Who?
Ludacris, my brother. We look just alike. My hairline recedes significantly more than his.
What day?
Friday, I think. Ludacris.
So it's not Saturday, it's Friday.
I think Ludacris. We need to perform together.
Oh,
he
stop
can sing,
it.
and I
What's
can
your
talk.
talent?
He can sing it like a song.
Get out of here. I can talk. You are too much. Oh, Lord. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day.
Sunday, DeAndre Jordan and the Clippers head to Boston to face Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.